They can still tell you what they do or what they
though.
exist to
Clapper
do,
for
man.
prison.
Come
Who's with
on. No, this is ridiculous.
I wish I had the confidence in government that you do, man. I wish I would live so much nicer. If
I wish I had the ignorant bliss that you have, man. Yeah, I would live more comfortably too.
You're the
Clapper lied.
Wonderful. We're going to get into the first topic, and it's a great one. It has to do with the Central Intelligence Agency. So, one of our guests today started an amazing dialogue about the Central Intelligence Agency and its use and efficacy, and whether, it's needed in the modern era or if it's a disgusting organization that needs to be smashed up into itty little bitty pieces. We're actually this will be the only round where we're going to have an intro, and it's going to be 30 seconds long. And it's going to be about, should we have the CIA in the modern era? I understand that you all haven't had time to research the topic. That's purposeful. So try to have fun.
Hey, good. No pressure. Should we still have it in this day and age? No, the CIA has literally destabilized more countries than capitalism. And frankly, that shit takes a lot of effort.
Wow, very short. Okay, next, Fabian.
All right, well, I disavow the latter and absolutely approve of the former. Yeah, fuck the CIA. Let's get rid of the CIA. I think the best way to maybe engage with your audience about why the CIA sucks is look into the fact that they have a $600 million contract with Amazon, and just wonder what that really is about and whether or not the CIA has access to all of your information on Twitch. They have done horrible and abhorrent things throughout their entire history, and most of which we don't even know about it. So fuck the CIA, but capitalism is based.
Okay, Gappy.
I'm going to be completely honest. I 100% agree. I think we should defund the CIA. There was this one time I was playing Tekken, and there was this Lucky Chloe main, and he was Supreme, shut the fuck up. I know you're laughing, okay? There was this one time I was playing against the Lucky Chloe main, and it was the dumbest shit ever. She kept spamming this one fucking move that led to a 30-hit combo that instantly took me from 100 to 0. And the only explanation for why her Wi-Fi was so shit, the only explanation for why she was able to do this for so long was because of the fucking CIA. I think that experience that I had makes just as much sense as saying that the CIA had a $600 million contract with Amazon, therefore it's suspicious. My experiences are just as valid as all these other theories as to why the CIA is suspicious, and honestly, I think we should defund it, and we should also make sure that Lucky Chloe mains aren't able to work for the CIA or any sort of government capacity anymore.
Okay, next, we're going to throw it over to Supreme.
Sure. Nobody knows what the CIA actually does. I've heard a lot of people complain about the CIA. Every lefty I've ever met, the only thing they have to mention is operations that were conducted under the Cold War, under the presidential policy of containment. They were only acting upon federal executive policies that carried between presidencies. I can't defend the actions of the CIA during that time. There were uncertain times. It's complex, and the CIA has restructured many times since then. So it seems like there have been lessons learned. The CIA is a foreign human intelligence agency. Their job is to collect human networks to better facilitate information gathering to keep our foreign adversaries in check. We certainly do have foreign adversaries. We have plenty of prospective empires in the world for which we're competing with resources and global influence. Iran, Russia, China, just to name a couple. These countries all have foreign human intelligence agencies. To eliminate ours completely would be shooting ourselves severely in the foot. Everybody is familiar with the failures of the CIA and maybe some even atrocities that have occurred because they've been declassified, because we have some amount of freedom of information. I don't think the countries that we're competing with that have human intelligence agencies are nearly as transparent. You never hear about the successes, and maybe often for good reason, because we want to be able to reserve some accesses that allow us to have those successes. My personal experiences with the CIA have been completely professional. I've collaborated many times with the CIA.
Okay, done. Okay. We're going to throw it. I love how I had to cut you off. I've collaborated many times with the CIA. It's a good time to cut somebody off. I'm going to throw it now over to Biggs.
Yeah, so first I just want to thank you all for coming out tonight. I think the CIA is probably pretty bad overall, has a lot of negative things that can be attributed to them. Like Scott said, there's things we don't even know about, but the things we do know about are just awful. So if you think we've only scratched the surface of this is just so bad, this whole agency. What's even worse now is they've gone against our own people now of this country. Like, I don't want them interfering with foreign affairs, but when they actually start affecting, you know, American citizens themselves, that's where it's like even more egregious to me personally. And my daughter's grabbing my face. But yeah, that's basically it. I think the CIA should be abolished. I think that most things can be handled by local law enforcement or in much less extravagant other agencies from the federal government side.
Okay, next is going to be Hunter.
Yes. So, okay. Yes, we absolutely need to have a central intelligence agency. I think we're all familiar with the Russian hacking, the Russian interference from our last election cycle, or maybe it was the one before that, sorry. We need a central intelligence agency when we have other adversaries that are constantly trying to fuck with our democratic process, one. Two, the CIA is not supposed to be fucking with American citizens. Very rarely are they allowed to do that. That's mainly supposed to be handled by the FBI. The CIA is supposed to be focused on foreign affairs, and they collect data and analyze data that informs our foreign policy. Lastly, I will say that the CIA needs to be looked at as a tool of the executive branch, because that's what it is. It is not a sentient being. It is multifaceted with multiple divisions and multiple people making up that organization.
We're now going to start. Anybody can start.
Yeah, I'll hop in. I think it's really funny that the people that are apologists for the CIA are like, "Hey guys, don't worry." Like, I know we know about MK Ultra and Bay of Pigs and like all of the horrible things that the CIA has done, but that was the Cold War, right? Like, we had to defeat the commies, and we've had some restructuring from them. It seems like a bit of like a inoculation attempt from the fucked up shit we know the CIA is doing today, right? Like, we know that ISIS was armed, like Zero Hedge reports and things of that nature. We know that the CIA is still doing fucked up shit, that they're still involved in other countries, that they're still trying to do, like, in order to gain intelligence and work with other intelligence apparatuses, that they're willing to get their hands super fucking dirty. And this often leads to blowback. This leads to dead brown children all across the fucking world. And this leads to blowback and terrorism within Europe and within America. Just fucking cut it out. We don't need them. We could just as easily
This is
have private
actually
or social
untrue
organizations.
partially.
Okay, as a brown child, I think it's kind of go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say some of the covert operation actually that the CIA does has been demonstrated in preventing wars and preventing full-blown wars from taking place and preventing lives from being lost. The problem when you bring up the MK Ultra and the Bay of Pigs shit is the reason it's relevant to talk about the fact that that was Cold War era CIA is because you ignore the fact that before that, when those things were taking place, this was before more oversight was put in place. So Executive Order 11905, for example, in 1976 was signed by President Ford, and this was in an effort to reform the CIA, and it provided more into oversight, and it banned political assassination. So the reason it's relevant is because you're pointing to things that the CIA did that were fucked up, that were bad, that were illegal, and they should be held accountable for that. But you're pointing to that, and that took place before reforms.
I love it, Hunter. You managed to twist it back to that so that you actually had an argument for maintaining the CIA and maintaining the statist structure and all of the horrible shit that they did, despite the fact that they're still arming terrorists today.
What do you mean? I'm literally bringing up the fact that it's been partially reformed. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but I think that a lot of the times when we have these conversations about the CIA, we think that there's some like evil independent organization or agency when this isn't true. They are a tool of the executive branch. They can be used for bad, but they can also be used for good. There's a lot of fucked up shit that has been prevented from the intelligence provided to us from the CIA, not to mention us day-to-day plebs, okay? We have access to the World Factbook, which is a yearly report released from the CIA featuring all kinds of information collected from all over the world. So this idea, this is the problem, is it's so one-dimensional. You're looking at this as a one-dimensional thing.
Oh, hold on. Point of fact. Hunter brought up that the CIA stopped numerous wars. I would just like to point out that they not only did not stop, but they actually caused 2 drug wars. Also, for the record, we're still losing those wars.
What drug
Thank you,
wars?
you
Do you
make
mean
it
the
Drugs
crack-
won. Drugs
wait,
won. It's
Sure.
over. The drug
Did the,
won.
CIA, did the CIA write the policies that led to the drug wars? To the war on drugs?
I'm not 100% sure. I know that the Vietnamese did not bring over
Okay, the CIA
800
does not write
billion pounds
laws.
of heroin in a pontoon boat across the Pacific through the entire Pacific U.S. naval fleet.
That's interesting. We could probably go back to the question I asked you, which is, was the policies that enacted the drug war or the war on drugs, was that created by the CIA?
It was mostly led by, quote, the executive branch, but that's really not an excuse. That's the I was just following orders tale, which is
But you
always
can't
a
just say,
really
you know what,
awesome
Supreme,
way
you know
to
what,
just
you
explain
can't just
away
say
bad
it's
laws.
wrong.
Wait, I didn't get to hear at the end of the statement. James, could you finish?
No, I'm just saying that's not a, you can't use the excuse of, but because they didn't do this, even though they did this, you know, they're still doing good. So you can't, you know, you can't just use one bad thing to explain away everything else and just go.
Well, that's actually
you know,
that's actually
That's not
true.
what any
Hold on,
of
let me
us
ask
are
you this:
doing.
is the CIA one contiguous
Gappy,
monolith?
after Supreme, Gappy.
Is the CIA one contiguous monolith that like acts in lockstep? It's just like one big organization and everybody's acting on the same directive in lockstep.
the CIA is multiple agencies that work in a hierarchical structure, which at the end
Wait a
of
minute, the
day
CIA is multiple
leads-
agencies?
Yes, they have
I
multiple.
think he means there's multiple
subdivisions.
You have no idea what you're
They
talking
do.
about. Just
Okay.
just-
Well,
you should
the-
probably
the-
learn
the
what the
problem is-
CIA is before you talk about it.
Cool.
Well, also,
Cool,
you
okay.
should learn a little bit more about the drug war thing, because I'm pretty sure that what you're referencing is the CIA put crack in the black communities thing. I could be wrong, but
Oh yeah, that would be the third drug war they lost. Yeah.
okay. I
So-
that's usually the one I'm most familiar with. That is most
Okay.
common to be brought up and is also untrue. So, but
So
yeah,
don't
I'm just
I don't
curious.
think- oh, yeah, if
what
I could get in
percentage
here.
of the classified?
Okay, wait,
secret
Gappy.
documents
I
have
said
you guys
Gappy.
seen?
Wait, stop. I said Gappy was next. Gappy.
Okay, because I think Supreme brought up a good point that a lot of these policies aren't being created literally by the CIA, unless we're going to the theory that the CIA is like secretly owning the government and the CIA literally is the deep state. You can't put every single agency under the executive branch as fault to some degree by some decision made by the person at the head of the executive branch or by decisions made by the legislative branch, etc. Right? OSHA is not going to be responsible for the fucking drug war just because it's under the executive branch. So if the policies weren't created by the CIA, I don't think we can really say that, you know, the CIA was the one leading and spearheading these efforts and spearheading these wars when these policies were created not by the CIA but by the people who were elected into office.
Yeah, I think this kind of falls in line with the same thing that we have with a lot of these three-letter agencies, where we have, I believe the word that James is looking for was maybe departments. We have a lot of the right hand and the left hand don't know what each other are doing type of situation. So when it culminates to actually provoking wars, not only what you mentioned, the drug war, James, but also wars in other countries. Like there's a lot of times when the CIA has been involved in actually instigating these wars or proxy wars or whatever it is, right? We had them funding terrorism in the Middle East to fight the Russians back in the 80s, whatever, that was the Cold War stuff, whatever. They actually have stuff now.
Today.
And today, yes. But what they have now is actually after that stuff ended in the Cold War, that's when things shifted to actually focusing on things here in the States, because we actually had stuff where they had these guidelines put in place in the 80s, which were just actually released in the last like 4 or 5 years. What they actually were was some of that redacted and such. So we actually have cases where the CIA has actually now turned its sights on the American people themselves. Now we try to prevent that with
And there's some
regulations like Hunter brought up earlier. There is
Yeah.
oversight and stuff. But the problem with that is we have agencies that interact with each other, like CIA, NSA, and we all know what happened with NSA with spying on people and stuff like that. So the problem though is what I find is the fundamental issue with these agencies is there's no actual hard accountability. The most we can do here is vote out people that put these people in power. But the problem is because there's that gap in actual liability, we actually lose control as people. And therefore, we have very little recourse to actually make changes to these organizations when they do become corrupt, which I believe they are.
Wait, I think you're missing the point that no matter how much regulation we have, the CIA is going to be affecting things no matter what because the CIA can't be regulated.
I don't think we
see
need the
We see
CIA.
them do stuff right now.
I think we
I
have-
literally
You
saw
don't
a
know what you're
Comrade
talking
Waluigi
about,
tweet.
dude.
I saw a Comrade Waluigi tweet 2 months ago that showed that the protests in Cuba were 100% by the CIA because he said "Not today, CIA." Okay, because
Oh,
those
yeah.
protests were really big. Okay, you
Oh, it
cannot
must be.
fucking tell me that isn't evidence of the CIA acting upon these things. Okay. I
I
can
agree
trust
with you,
these
yes.
individuals
Waluigi
more than I
was
can
right.
trust the CIA, okay? How many
Biggs,
followers does the CIA have? How often do I see the CIA on my timeline versus people who are actually making real change? Actual people with red flags, MLs, tankies, and the like. They are making far more change and making way more of a difference in foreign policy than the CIA is. 100%,
The problem
okay?
we have-
I'm going to trust those individuals way more than the CIA.
The problem we have is that there's a
Not a conspiracy.
there's a pretty big lack of transparency with these agencies, especially like when you think about it, the CIA, what they do by definition is confidential and secretive. We just don't know necessarily what they are always doing because we can't know for national security's sake. However, that lack of transparency oftentimes gives ground to a lot of suspicion because who knows, right? It's all closed doors. It seems easy to hypothesize and sort of theorize that the worst thing is happening. And I do think that that lack of transparency gives ground to the distrust. The problem is I'm not sure what we really do about that. As far as the lack of regulation, I agree that there could be more regulation or more oversight, but this idea that there's just none is untrue. Even CIA doing covert action, for example, this needs to be fully confirmed by Congress. It's not like the CIA can just go out and decide to go and do whatever the fuck they want. I mean, there are systems in place to make sure that they are not acting out. There are specific inspectors that are independent from the CIA that still work at the CIA to make sure there's not wrongdoing taking place. Like, there is oversight. So we can argue about there being more, and I'm in favor of there being more. However, this idea that there's none or that they're acting independently, it's just not true.
So
Right,
I don't
this-
think anyone is. I'll
Wait,
let
one second.
go. He's been
I-
waiting.
Yeah, I was gonna throw to Supreme. I got his name down. By the way, if I give you a thumbs up, that means I wrote your name down for everybody in the room, just for future notice. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
it's as Hunter says, most information that people have about the CIA is literally rumors and urban myths and urban legends. That's it. Most people don't know what the CIA does. Hunter is correct in saying that there are currently implements of oversight that act all throughout the intelligence community. Right? There's something called the intelligence community that includes about 20 different agencies that all fill a specialized function. The CIA is one of those. They do foreign human intelligence. Okay, human intelligence is a type of intelligence where we collect statistics, we collect intelligence, we build out networks in foreign countries to just better our intelligence gathering activities. We have the Office of General Counsel. We have the Office of Oversight and Compliance. We have an entire foreign intelligence surveillance court that provides oversight, and they do audits all the time. They do audits all the time where OGC will come through and audit everybody, make sure that all the information that's collected is compliant to federal law, so on and so forth. I mean, like, most people just don't know this stuff because they don't actually think to put their feet to the ground and learn anything about this stuff. They're happy to just go on Twitter and virtue signal about it.
So, like, yeah, you've got to think about
Supreme.
Wait.
How could it possibly...
Okay, Fabian, you were the one who kind of like gave it over to Supreme. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure you get time to talk.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like there's two people here that are debating vigorously and kind of know what they're talking about on this issue, Hunter Avalon and Supreme. So I guess I have a question for you guys. As an American citizen that is unaware of the internal processes, right, that is going on, what are we to think and how are we supposed to support a state-run agency that is predicated on violence, because the state is predicated on violence, but even more so, this kind of intelligence gathering and, secret background warfare and stuff. When we see Edward Snowden whistleblow on the NSA and show massive constitutional violations and show that the NSA is incredibly corrupt, that show multiple people lying to Congress. And we know that Nancy Pelosi knew, we know that people that were on Foreign Intelligence Committee knew about all of these things. And the only action that has occurred is that he is threatened with jail and being prosecuted under the Espionage Act. And despite having proof that these people were getting rubber stamp approval from the powers that be to do evil, immoral, and unconstitutional things, not a single person has gone to jail and no one has had any significant punishment. And we haven't seen any form of additional regulation or oversight other than a couple of hand waves and talks. So how you say the same thing as oversight for the CIA? Fuck that. How am I supposed to trust that?
The NSA is not the CIA. I don't know if we need to make that clear.
No shit, Sherlock, Gappy. Everybody gets that view.
Clearly, you don't seem to understand that here, since we're bringing up.
Do you not think that there are similar things in place for the NSA as there is for the CIA, FBI? Like all these agencies have watch groups that don't do any fucking watching. That's the problem.
First of all, the fact that wait, hold on. The fact that you're saying there's the fact that you're saying wait, hold on.
Wait. Okay, so don't try to sway me. I'll make my impartial decision, like a little panel dictator. Okay. I'm going to have Gappy finish his sentence. And then I'm going to have Biggs probably respond, and I'll write Hunter's name down. Supreme, I already have your name written down. Don't worry. Okay.
Do you not?
And Tim, I'll write your name down too. Okay.
What?
Obviously, I don't think we're focusing on the real issue here because we had these issues with the NSA, but we're not talking about OSHA right now. There are OSHA watchdogs right now, and we're not seeing these same issues and the same type of discussion with OSHA. I think it's insane that leftists are focused on the CIA when really there could be so much corruption right now in OSHA that we're not actually focusing on here.
Right, well, if you want to meme,
I'm not memeing here. I'm not memeing here. I'm using the same fucking logic that we're using here for the CIA, okay? We should be focusing on fucking OSHA because apparently we have just as much evidence for OSHA as we do for the CIA. Maybe OSHA did something shit 50 years ago. This is just absolutely fucking stupid. We're like doing like QAnon level conspiracy theories here. So you know what? Yeah, I think we need to focus on OSHA at this point.
Okay. So Biggs, you get to respond to that.
Yeah. I obviously, Gappy's memeing here. I know he says he's not, but like when you have things that are basically shown throughout history, we have a history of the CIA doing things that are probably not good, right? And then we have these other agencies. Right, whoa, let me finish, sir. Let me finish. So then you have these other agencies that supposedly probably have similar, if not, especially, security agencies, whatever that say is. Would you think they would have more regulations, right? Because they are actually directly involved, with Americans and not just foreign policy. So you would hope that they would have even more stringent regulations. Yet we see these type of things that come out after the fact of all these problems. So if you guys want to hand wave away all these past things and all these things that we've seen in other agencies, like obviously, yes, it's not one-to-one because it's not the same thing, but
we're also not trying to hand wave.
We cannot trust what is actually being monitored here. Like we know the CIA has done many bad things in the past. I think we can all agree on that, right? The fact that you guys think that because you guys are basically appealing to authority, like saying, oh, the people that are auditing them, all the time, they're doing their jobs. Like, who the fuck knows what they're doing? We have no idea. There's nothing that's like you said, there's no transparency to that. Whether or not we can know the specifics of what is actually happening is irrelevant to what we're seeing in the audits and stuff like that, because you can still have malfeasance being brought to light without actually endangering any security risks. Okay. That is
we do largely. If there is malfeasance, I mean, we hear about people going to jail.
They were literally brought for freaking pedophilia charges just recently. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Yes,
what
and
are
that
you
was
even talking about?
Wait. What are you talking about?
As an internal
Hold on, wait. Excuse me.
We had a whistleblower.
Am I allowed to respond here?
Yes. Yeah, you respond.
Why was that found? Why was child porn found on the computers, Biggs? Was it because there was an inspector general auditing and doing their job? Biggs, I'm asking you.
Somebody had to come up and bring it up.
No.
Somebody actually
how do they find out there was child porn on the computers?
To find out it was something that had to be.
It was because the systems were doing it.
Do you understand how this shit works, man? What are you talking about?
You don't. It was the systems in place that did that.
Hunter, I'm so glad you were right. Hunter, wait, I'm so glad you were right. You look really good, and you sound really good yelling at me. By the way, just bring.
Thanks to the systems in place, that's how that child porn was found. All of those people were either brought to another level of counsel or fired or resigned. Lastly, there were also people in the Pentagon that were found to have child porn on their computer. This is disgusting and fucked up.
Yes.
But hold on. This does not discredit the entire agency. Are you going to tell me that because the Pentagon had some employees that had child porn on their computer, we should discredit the Pentagon and the intelligence provided to us? Are we going to go the QAnon route that the entire government is controlled by pedophiles? This is ridiculous.
We should definitely.
It's actually interdimensional space demons.
We should definitely, because of these things, we should definitely take a much deeper dive into what these people do, what they have access to, and what they're actually doing. That I think we can all agree on.
We are agreeing on that, but
That's
you're
the
backing
QAnon
up to this.
whistling.
But
I don't agree with that.
I mean,
Okay, so I'm gonna go to Supreme next.
Okay.
List.
So it's funny. I can tell just how much people know about these agencies based on what they say about them. Earlier, whoever top left was, you said something about how NSA deals mostly with American citizens. Who here? I'm going to do a knowledge check, and we're going to find out how much people know about this stuff because I hear people throwing around Snowden's name and what Snowden did and shit like that. We're going to do a quick knowledge check and see how much people actually know about these topics. Who here can tell me the NSA's mission?
Like word for word?
No, just generally
I will
what they do.
openly admit that I cannot.
Generally what function they perform. I told you guys earlier that the CIA's general purpose is foreign human intelligence. You can tell me what the NSA what function they serve.
I would actually have to look that up. I wasn't prepared to talk about the NSA.
Right?
Sure. So it seems like nobody is prepared to tell me what the NSA does. I'm prepared to tell you. The NSA does foreign signals intelligence. That's what the NSA does. Most people think the NSA's job is to spy on American citizens. They think that because they read a Twitter headline or something like that. They have no idea what the NSA actually does, what their activities are meant to serve. Who here can tell me what Edward Snowden uncovered?
Are you sure this isn't just what the NSA says they do?
Wait, well, you know the NSA, so we're going to do a knowledge check.
Nobody knows what the agencies are doing.
Stop. Okay, so I would like to hear Supreme finish the question. We only have I want to make sure we get to Tim and Preacher, who haven't been talking that much before the round ends, so we can be
sure. Who here can tell me what Edward Snowden blew the whistle on? Can you tell me about some of the programs and what those programs were?
I mean, I can tell you a layman's explanation. I think. Like,
sure, give me a layman's explanation.
He discovered that telecommunication companies were unconstitutionally providing backdoor access for the NSA.
Who decided they were unconstitutional?
You could see them on their face. They didn't have a warrant for these things.
Hang on a second. Are you telling me that Edward Snowden blew the whistle that we had programs that allowed us to collect things on American citizens without a warrant?
Yes. They were rubber stamp approvals.
That's not true.
They weren't warrants.
That's not true.
Access from AT&T, Verizon. He discovered, he showed the extent, which many Americans were obviously not aware of the capabilities of like the Five Eyes program and like
that's not true.
In the UK.
The Five Eyes is not a program. The Five Eyes is a term to collectively describe a group of people that share some intelligence. It's the United States.
Are you gonna debate, bro, the terms, right? And like
I'm here to inform you because you don't know.
You're flexing the fact that you clearly work in some capacity and have some technical knowledge, and that's fine, but you're not actually engaging with the topic or the discussions. What you're doing is you're dismissing the discussions and then saying, well, let me educate you because I have a technical knowledge. And you know what?
Yeah, you're saying things that are incorrect, so I'm setting the record straight.
And like we've heard
but
multiple
you're not engaging with any of the questions.
We heard the sorry.
Sorry, what question am I not engaging with?
Completely. I said, how are we supposed to trust the CIA when all of these levels of oversight were supposed to occur? And we had massive leaks of unconstitutional things occurring, things that no one knew had any discussions or
you don't have any understanding of what those things are, and you've already incorrectly stated that they could do things warrantlessly. No, they needed FISA warrants.
Yeah, rubber stamp approval.
No, how do you know they were rubber stamped? Because you saw it in an Oliver Stone movie?
Because they were allowed to fucking tap into fucking AT&T and have communications of American citizens, and nobody fucking voted for that. And I don't even fucking like democracy.
Okay,
so, that type of any type of cell phone data like CSLI or something can still be collected with a warrant. That comes up in other. It even comes up outside the context of the NSA. Like if there's a fucking murder that happens,
we've gotten a little off subject
from
here.
AT&T.
But
I don't know why we're so focused on. Oh well, we got data from AT&T. Yeah, that happens anyways. That can happen with a fucking local police department or with a fucking state's attorney.
I just wanted to point out that Biggs totally appealed to the conspiracy right there. He was like, is that just what they said? Is that what they wanted you to think when talking about the NSA, how he was defining it?
We literally have track records of these agencies lying and lying.
But the fact that like you're like, we can't trust them to even tell us who they are or what they do.
Whatever.
Wait.
It absolutely is.
I said. Okay, Hunter. I'm gonna have Hunter finish. Then I gotta let Biggs respond. We only have 42 seconds left, but I want to make sure Tim and Preacher can go. So it's Hunter, Biggs, Tim,
I'll concede my time to Tim and Preacher.
Okay, got it. So, Hunter, then Tim and Preacher, then.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is when we suddenly say, "Oh, we can't believe them to tell us what their agency even does," all we have at that point is baseless conjecture, which ultimately comes down to nothing more than a conspiracy. So that's all.
The whole point of these agencies is to be secretive.
All I have to-
They
all I
can
have to
still
say is-
tell you
all I have
what
to say
they
is
do or
this,
what they
though.
exist to
Clapper
do,
for
man.
prison.
Come
Who's with me?
on.
Who's
No, this
ready to
is
put
just
clapper
I
this
wish
is
I had. I
ridiculous.
wish I
Anybody?
had the confidence in government that you do, man. I wish I would live so much nicer if I
I wish
did.
I had the ignorant bliss that you have, man. Yeah, I would live
What do
more
you- I'm
comfortably
the-
too.
You're the
Clapper lied to
Okay,
Congress.
sure.
Do you want him in jail? Like we know that for a fact. He
Oh.
lied to Congress under oath. Like, do you want him in jail?
Are you talking to me?
Okay, be clear.
Everybody.
Wait.
If
Fabian.
someone lied under oath, they should go to jail.
Fabian,
yes.
Fabian.
I think Tim brings up a pretty good point about the element of like we can't have complete fucking transparency with the CIA just because of their inherent work. I mean, like if anyone who's ever like worked in anything related to like technology, like cybersecurity, for example, like you can't leak everything. You can't leak every single way that Fort Knox is protected, right? Or how the Google data servers are protected, or how Amazon protects its data centers. Because then you're basically giving away every single way that it could potentially be exploited and every single hoop and hurdle that they have to get through, right? That's why when hypothetically a single company that was related to streaming had its source code leaked, one of the biggest concerns was the fact that this could open up to new security concerns and exploits, because now everyone has the keys to the castle. They just have to figure out how they're actually going to get in, right? So while I do think we do actually have a relatively high amount of transparency compared to other central intelligence organizations in other countries, we can't expect the CIA to be completely fucking transparent with everything just by nature of the work that they do, right? The same thing
Right.
happens with cybersecurity or any sort of sensitive information or products.
And of course, this inevitably breeds rumors, though, because of that. And that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, how many times have we all heard that the CIA put crack in the black community or something? I've heard that one multiple times. And for a long time, I just assumed it was true because I heard people say it. I saw it on Twitter or whatever. But upon looking into it, you never hear people mention that there were 3 separate independent investigations into those claims, and all of them came back unfounded, including a House committee investigation, which actually specifically used the expose article by Gary Webb, which started this whole this whole rumor. Basically, they used his article as an outline for their investigation and still came back unfounded. No evidence. It just wasn't true. But to this day, we still hear about how the CIA put crack in the black community, and it's just like this ongoing rumor.
Bro, I saw it on Twitter though. Okay, Comrade Waluigi was a pretty reputable source. I don't know.
Well, I
what you're
mean,
talking
even
about.
James said he wanted to abolish the CIA here. Like, come on.
I'm with it.
It is literally the
Abolish
leftist, the leftist horseshoe version of QAnon, and it's so disappointing because like
It's blue
usually
anon.
what we see on like the left leaning and even
1
like on
minute left
leftists
to
is
vote.
a really big emphasis on like combating disinformation, right? Because we see that so often from the right. We see so many people, like so many family members that we know, who get sucked into QAnon or whatever and get sucked into these crazy conspiracy theories, and we try to combat that and disavow those things, but then we proceed to engage in the same type of behavior with, frankly, a lot of online people who thankfully are too young to be able to vote. All these 15-year-olds and stuff on Twitter talking about how the CIA caused everything and how the CIA is complete dog shit and how none of these parties are ever going to be trustworthy and we all have to vote green or whatever.
It's not just
It's
15-year-olds.
disappointing. It's just disappointing. It's just disappointing to see so many people on this panel engaging in those types of conspiracy theories.
I
that
love
if this was QAnon or some shit we would.
I
It is
love how
disappointing.
I love the constant need to deflect.
Hold on.
right?
Can I say
Everyone that is
something
in
real quick?
big support of the
See,
CIA.
I'm
is
gonna
like,
just be real
Well,
quick. and make a great
it's
point.
just tough to argue against the conspiracy theory, to be honest.
Yeah, hold on a minute. The one
ahead,
good
Peter.
thing about the CIA is the fact that Hunter and I we've never gotten along, but because of the CIA, we're actually agreeing today.
well, I just want to say, like, I just
Amen.
love how the panel is just those supporting the institution of the state, that is the CIA, are like, well, let's talk about the Cold War and like how we fix those things, or like, oh, you have concerns now, like, oh, let's pivot away from those concerns because it must be 15-year-olds on the internet and it must be the Alex Jones of the world, right?
Oh no, it is
And then
15-year-olds.
And then it's like, you have some other concerns.
Wait, we got
Yeah, I'm an anarchist. Fuck the entire government. I don't trust any of them.
So this is what kind of started the discourse, is me asking people who they do trust. So like, if you actually don't trust our entire government, any of our institutions, any of our intelligence agencies, who do you trust? And how do you know? Like,
I
guess
trust
who-
myself, and I trust people I actually know, and I trust companies or institutions that I work with that
But how do
I
you-
have done personal research with and have reason to believe.
Sure,
I don't trust anybody else.
I understand that,
power
but
over me.
but virtually everybody has some kind of an institution that they fall back on to a degree. So, for example, if you got a notice today that a nuclear missile was headed towards America, an alert from the Pentagon, would you not believe that? Or would you be like, well, this is
if I was living in Hawaii, I might be a little bit less inclined to believe that.
I know there was that one mistake where there was a human error, but that doesn't prove your point at all. So yeah, you want to answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, like there's obviously there's a certain risk assessment involved, right? So when you say, do you trust someone, right? Like there's a difference between like, do you trust someone to house sit for you, and do you trust someone to babysit your children, right? And so the question is, do I trust institutions that are not democratically run, that have an oversight that we only kind of tangentially are aware of, and that have massive amounts of power and the ability to engage in things that could potentially lead us to war? No, I don't fucking trust them at all. But you see what I'm saying? So like the amount of power that they have and the amount of effect and influence they have on my life is really kind of more important than actually the amount of trust. If someone had that much power over me, I would have to have supreme and extreme confidence in, and I don't.
So which institution are you talking about? So for example, the CIA is literally, the oversight there comes from people that we have elected. They come from people.
Well, democracy is evil, so like I dismiss with that.
Okay, yeah, it's I guess it's hard to reason with a psycho, right? That's how the saying goes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to reason with an authoritarian grifter, but I do it anyway.
Sure, an authoritarian grifter. That totally makes sense.
I kid you not, Hunter, on my Discord, proudly the largest political Discord that doesn't allow fascists. One of the big topics we were debating is whether or not you're a grifter.
Can you actually? I'd like Fabian to tell me. Could he define grifter? I know this is off subject, but just really, really fast.
Okay, quickly, and then we got to go to Supreme, and then
put your hands on your head, and can you define grifter?
I'm not gonna do it for you, buddy.
So you don't know what it means then. So you called me that because you read it on Twitter, and you decided that it was a common insult.
I called you that because you started off as a right-wing anti-SJW cringe compilation kind of guy, and then you somehow intellectually moved yourself to the left, which is extremely rare.
None of this is proving it's
you
that
change
your
opinions, therefore you're a
wait,
grifter.
Wait. Can you prove what's a grifter though? Changing your
hold
opinion
on,
is not
stop
a
the
grifter.
presses. Something that Supreme Areno, also hi Supreme. Something Supreme taught me early in these days of the Twitch platform is that there's a lot of people who are righties that end up on the left. That was like the first thing he told me. Like there's a lot of people who ideologically like might have like extreme views, like maybe on the right, and they just end up on the left due to like experience.
Just let the record show that he still hasn't defined what a grifter is. Just like his information that he gets on the CIA, all of the shit he's hurling at me is based on nothing but Twitter headlines.
Okay,
I don't use Twitter.
Okay, we got to move off of grifter, and we have to keep moving. So Supreme,
you're saved, Fabian. Congrats.
What's that?
You're saved. So, Dylan bailed you out. You never had to define the word.
Okay, got it.
I didn't really have an opportunity to, but okay.
If neither of you shut the fuck up, I'm gonna mute both of you. Okay, Supreme.
Okay, so we discussed earlier about the role of intelligence agencies and why it is that there has to be some level of opacity, right? Why they can't be perfectly transparent. The idea is that by nature, what an intelligence agency does is try to preserve an access, right? What an intelligence agency does is has access to privileged information on our foreign adversaries.
This is bullshit.
Yeah, I get it. You guys pivot to conspiracy. You pivot. Oh, that's Cold War.
Well, I'm not really. I don't know how much of a conversation I can play.
I'm simply letting people know that sometimes you can kind of get an inkling. That's not a fucking.
Are you? I don't know, dude.
That's complete fucking speculation.
It just seems that you say things and you don't
know
know what you're actually saying. You invoke words you don't know what they mean.
Wait. Okay. You're talking over each other. Okay, so I'm gonna have Fabian finish and explain why it's speculation.
Yes, it is speculation, right? Like that's all we fucking have. But what I'm saying is sometimes you can, if you're trying to understand what is going on and you're trying to be informed ahead of time, you can pay attention to these things and you can put other pieces together. I'm not saying go on fucking naturalnews.com or fucking QAnon boards and read some random shit from a person and think that or go to infowars.com.
Well, yeah, they can just watch
build
your
a
channel.
Fucking case. Oh, really?
No, yeah, really. That's right. Honestly.
But like what I'm saying is you can see sometimes that individuals are trying to do the right thing, but they're shackled in doing so, and you can see that after the fact, after evidence comes out later, And we saw this with Edward Snowden. We saw people trying to push them hard to admit to things in affirmative answers, hoping that in the future, when things came out, these people could be punished. And of course, they never were, because they don't
So
punish.
do you want officials to just speak in the affirmative or negative, or do you think it's better for them to participate in nuance in their answers as representatives of the institutions?
Well, I'm talking about when they're asking direct questions and they're trying to use nuance as a means of lying.
What?
Well, like, what does it mean
What?
when they say unwittingly? Like,
Wait,
is that,
what do you mean?
is that lying or
nuance
is
as
that
a
more
means
accurate?
of lying? Like what example do you have of a politician?
Well, like when Clapper went to the Senate Intelligence or Select Intelligence Committee, right, and said that we were not conducting mass surveillance on American citizens. We were. That was a lie. And so you saw individuals that did not have the ability to really like blow the whistle themselves, even in the Senate, right? Because there is a process and they're not allowed to just open up and just start spouting off state secrets, right? So what they're trying to do is they tried to hammer him down and to get him to say that yes or no, so that in later date when things came out, they could be like, look, he lied to Congress.
But do you think it's possible for officials to not have all the information for their own hearings?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So then couldn't you
I
just
mean,
as
nobody
easily
has all of the information ever. What are you talking
So wait,
I don't
couldn't
know.
you just
I don't know how you guys engage with this, but okay.
based on well, no, Joe, you ask good questions, because based on that, we could just as easily now speculate that they're actually just telling the truth or going above and beyond to be as accurate as possible.
Like I'll give an example, right? So like one of the things that a lot of parents were freaking out about was this idea that Merrick Garland was lying during his hearing about parents and domestic terrorists. And specifically, I forget who it was, brought up the case aloud, and he just had no idea. And then there's like
You
YouTube
forget
video
who it was? Like,
upon
no.
YouTube
you're-
video.
really?
Oh,
There was
Fabian,
YouTube
you can't
video
call
upon
anyone out for
YouTube
anything,
video.
bro. When you literally called me a grifter, couldn't
There's
even fucking
YouTube
define
video
the
upon
words.
No.
There was
He
YouTube video.
came
There
at
was
me
YouTube
first.
video
I
upon
wanna hear what you have
YouTube
to say.
video.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.